morning. How's it going, everybody? Appreciate you guys checking in. Everybody who subscribed to the network. As I told you before, we got a lot of good stuff coming up, so I want to make sure that you guys keep watching, keep following, keep being very attentive, man. We all appreciate the support. Just pulling up at the job, man. Monday morning. And a lot of things have been kind of going through my mind as I drive because, well, I'm going to get to that story later. But a lot of things have been kind of going through my mind at this time and just kind of want to let some of these things out. So, like, one of the things that I want to make sure that, or I want to let you guys know is, mentoring is very real in this profession, right? Unfortunately, I lost one of the main people who I saw as a mentor. Just to kind of give you some backstory, I honestly did not expect to even ever do band outside of middle school. If it wasn't for my big brother, taking me to my first band performance. Hopefully you guys can hear me when I put this mask on. But if it wasn't for my big brother taking me to my first band performance at Willow Ridge High School, I would have never continued to do band anyway. And so with that being said, I got to be a part of the Willow Ridge Mighty Eagle Band under the direction of Ronald Thornton. And from there, he was the guy that I looked up to when it came to band. I didn't really care about band like that prior to. And I'm not going to say I didn't care. It just wasn't a prevalent thing on my mind. So my junior year in high school, I decided to ask him. I said, hey, and this was after practice. All the kids had gone. I was waiting for, I think it was my aunt to pick me up or my mother to pick me up. And I said, hey, Mr. Thornton, what does it take to be a band director? And he ran down the list of things that had to be done. And I really remember him actually bringing that conversation up my senior year in the middle of class. But at that moment, when I asked him that my junior year, he became my mentor. Fast forward a couple of years later, I graduated and went to college, and I'll never forget it. I was closer to the end of my undergraduate time, and I came back to Willow Ridge, and because I had come back to Willow Ridge prior to, and that's when I started dating my wife, and he met my wife at the time, and he kind of gave her a thumbs up and told me good job. But I came back again because I knew I was coming out of college very soon, and I wanted to have the conversation with him about the possibility of, going into the profession and hopefully being at my high school. So I went up there and I went to go see him, and unfortunately, he was not there. I ran into my old assistant band director, Miss Delcenia Hill. God bless her soul. She has passed on as well. And she said, you just missed him. He just walked out. And when that happened, when I got home or got back to my mom's house, because of course I was in Virginia and I was visiting home, so I was staying with my mom. I got back to my mom's house and I gave him a call, and Mrs. Thornton picked up the phone and said, he's not feeling well. And I didn't know any of that information. Well, I had heard that he did get sick, but I didn't know that, it had, kind of been a long situation. So I told him, and I think I spoke with him briefly. And, I told him that, we'll link up, well, he told me we'll link up hopefully, when I get back or the next time I come back. Fast forward, and I get a call maybe about a couple of weeks later that he had passed. And I know it definitely rocked the community, the city of Houston, the marching band community, especially in Texas, because he was such a big name in the city, as well as the state. I say all that to say this. When I finally started teaching, there were a lot of problems and bumps in the road that I ran into, and I didn't have my mentor. I didn't have a person that I felt like I could just call on that knew me and connected to me and that had built a relationship with me and had been in the trenches and had knew some of the things that, what it takes to go through some of these problems, especially dealing in a school where you have a lot of kids that look like us. So how do you navigate, when you don't have a mentor, when you don't have that connection? And I mean, it's possible to be able to pick up, mentors along the way, but, when you feel like you have had that connection and you made that connection with that person, how do you navigate the beginning of your career? How do you navigate through the bumps and the trials? I mean, even now, there are a lot of things that I question, and I want to be able to pick up the phone and call them, and I just can't, right? And I'm saying all of that to say this one thing. Is there ever a time when band directors just taught band? Or was it always difficult? Was it always a mountain of paperwork? Was it always, this mentorship that you have to do, and this, you have to be this, that, and the third, and there's only about maybe 10 to 15% of actually band directing? Was it always that? I talk to a lot of good friends of mine, colleagues now, and we're all around the same age. And that conversation comes up a lot, where I just want to teach. Well, what does that look like? I just want to teach band. Did that ever happen? Was that ever a thing that was normalized? Was that ever a thing that was something that just actually happened, where directors came in and, yeah, you may have had a lesson plan or so, but for the most part, you just were able to teach band? Was that something that actually happened? And if it was, then I guess my next question is, what happened? Where was the change? And in that process, did anybody fight for it to go back to what it was? Did we actually fight for it when we saw the change? And if we saw the change and we didn't fight for it, did we think that was going to be something that was going to benefit us? Did we see the benefit in the change? I don't know. I don't have a mentor to ask that to. And don't get me wrong, I have people that I look up to, so I don't want to shut anybody out on that, right? But there, to me, is something different when it comes to Mr. Thornton. Mr. Thornton is a legend in his own right, but I had the availability to be under his baton. And as a band director, you want to try to get questions from some of the greats and some of the people who know you. And finally, through all of that, though, I do want to say rest in peace to my mentor, Ronald Thornton. I do want to say this out loud and verbally in a public forum. I looked up to you. You are the inspiration for what I do. And navigating this band director journey has been very difficult without being able to contact you and reach out to you and ask questions. There are people I can ask, and don't think I haven't asked questions before to other people, but honestly, you're the voice that I want to hear. So rest in peace to you, and thank you for all of the guidance that you gave me as a student and all of your students throughout the years. Appreciate everybody for sticking with me as I have this conversation. You're going to get more content like this as well. Mind of a Black Band Director, because that's what's on my mind. I'm going to be telling everybody what's on my mind. Thanks for all the support. We'll see you guys next time.